Hey fam, Pete Nelson here. I wanted to talk about the Assault Air Runner. This is one of those investments that we made into our community recently that I think people are going to really enjoy for years to come. Especially living up in the Midwest, having a self-propelled treadmill is going to allow us to be able to run all year round, which is arguably one of the most functional things that we could do as athletes and as humans. So one of the things I want to do today is to kind of cover more along the lines of the skill and mechanics and the tips behind how we could run efficiently on the Air Runner in ways that you'll be able to see this transfer to outside when obviously the weather is a lot nicer. So first and foremost, you'll notice the big thing here at the Air Runner is that we're actually on a curve. One of the biggest things with the curve that's going to allow athletes to be able to see better running and results outside of the gym is that you'll notice that when we go to strike through mid-foot, because of the curve, it's going to encourage you not to strike through the heel, but rather through the mid-foot. Now that's huge because we don't want to use the heel as a stopping zone. Rather, we want to put the ankle in a position to be a shock absorber where the mid-foot strikes, and that's where we're able to then self-propel into the next stride, okay? The other thing that's nice about the Air Runner is that because it is self-propelled, you dictate intensity right out of the gates. So whether you are out to go for a jog or right into a sprint, it's actually able to adapt with your speed. The other thing to take into account with the Air Runner is that because it is self-propelled, it behooves the people that have consistency with their stride and their stride length. Now, typically out and about when you're outside, because you don't have the feedback of that ground rolling past you, you're able to get away with inconsistent stride lengths. But because the Air Runner, because the floor starts to go with you every time that you go to pull with the hamstring to be able to pull that floor back, the nice thing about that, it gives you instantaneous feedback to say, hey, this stride length isn't correct. Now it's going to actually pull you into a position where each stride is going to maintain the same length, which is going to allow for better consistency when you're outside running. All right, so let's talk about how we start when we're going to approach the Air Runner. You'll notice on here that the sides have flooring that doesn't move, then obviously the actual treadmill part that does move. What I always like to encourage my athletes and our athletes at Black Flag to do is that when you go to start up off the Air Runner, rather than starting off with a walk and then heading into your run, I like to use the arms of the Air Runner to push off for me to be able to get into my running form. When I go to dismount the Air Runner, I always like to put my hands on and then jump off. Another way that you could do it is simply by self-slow. Once I'm here, is to slow on down and then head into a walk, okay? Either way, both of those achieve the same thing. Jumping off the Air Runner is a little bit quicker and easier. For those who are trying to do some deceleratory work, then obviously going from a run to a walk is advantageous for you. So let's start talking about mechanics behind running and how that applies to the Air Runner. First, I always like to think about where my trunk is at, especially with running and because of the Air Runner. A lot of times people always like to think that we need to lean really far forward. Rather, I'm going to have you guys think about just simply staying nice and tall. The other thing with staying nice and tall is I don't want you guys to confuse that with the rib opening. Rather, the rib's going to stay down, okay? Because of the trunk position now, when we go to run, you're going to notice that the strike of the foot is now not going to be necessarily in the toe or the heel. Rather, it's going to be through the midfoot to ball of foot. I always like to think that my center of mass, right, is going to be right up on top of my hip and then right up on top of my ankle. Then that means the center of pressure, or where we're striking through the ground, is now going to be through midfoot to ball of foot. For us to be able to get in that position, we need to be able to achieve dorsiflexion or to go into dorsiflexion of the ankle. All that means is for us to be able to pull that toe up and back toward our shin. For us to be able to get into a correct stride, we're thinking knee right in line with hip, and then that ankle, just think 5 degrees back and 90 degrees, and that's where we go straight through that midfoot, okay? What I mean by that is this. I'll start off by pushing. Notice I'm so nice and tall. Knees coming on up, and my ankle's up versus me pointing my toe down, okay? Thinking that as we're coming for each stride, I'm pulling the ground away, right? As I pull the ground away, notice how my toe still stays up, and I'm striking through the middle of the foot. versus us coming to a position right where I'm starting to overstride and then reach for the heel. That's actually decelerating us. We want to be accelerating the entire time. For that to happen, we need to go through midfoot, ball foot, which we go to accelerate off of. So after we talk about position where we're looking at center of mass and center of pressure, we need then to be able to look at stride length and rate of stride. So the stride length, especially with the air runner, dictates a lot of the speed. If I elongate my stride length, that's going to pull me closer to the front side of the air runner. If I shorten up my stride length, I'm going to stay more toward the back, okay? You're going to notice on that it's actually going to speed you up if you have a longer stride length versus a shorter stride length. So with that being said, if we're trying, depending on if we're going for a jog or a sprint, just like out there in the real world, if I increase my stride length and I increase the rate of the stride, I'm going to be moving faster. If I bring down my stride length and I decrease the rate of my stride length, I'm going to be moving slower. So what I mean by that is this. If I start off with my walk, small strides, and then with a lower stride rate, I'll be walking. I could go fast strides, right, with small steps or smaller stride lengths, I'll move faster, right? But if I'm trying to go out for my sprint, I need to think long strides and then fast rate of stride. Another thing to consider with rate of stride and stride length is how fast our arm speed is. With the arm speed, a lot of that arm speed actually dictates the turnover or how fast our legs turn over. When we go to run, I'm not letting my arms stay stagnant, right? I'm gonna think opposite arm, opposite leg. And while I'm here, elbows are bent at 90. The faster my arms go, the faster my leg turnover is. The slower my arms go, the slower my leg turnover is. It's a big factor when it comes to running that we all need to take into consideration depending on the intensity that we're going for. The last big component towards looking at the air runner and running mechanics in general is to resist as much rotation as possible with the hips, okay? Anytime that we go to run, we don't want to be eliciting force in one direction over here to the side and another direction over to the side. Rather, if we're trying to be efficient, we want to be running straight forward, okay? So an easy way to consider that is as we're going to run, think that the arms are going to be active, not the shoulders, okay? Inexperienced runners, you'll notice that the elbows rotate side to side when they run, rather than the elbows moving at a 90-degree bent position, forward and back. That's going to square up the shoulders and the hips. So you'll notice from the side, this would be inefficient. If I'm running side to side, all of a sudden I'm not as balanced and I'm not stable. Rather, when I go to run, I'm thinking that my arms are moving forward and back for us to be able to produce force forward. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video over the air runner and running mechanics in general. If you liked it, be sure to share, subscribe, and comment below. You guys are the best. Have a great day, fam.
Fam on 3. 1, 2, 3.